Welcome the anointed ones. To whom much is given, much is required. Luke 12:48. But what if what's given isn't money, fame, or power, but something far more dangerous? What if it's wisdom? Not just any wisdom, but a level of understanding so profound that it makes people uncomfortable, makes them question reality itself. Here's a fact. The human brain processes about 11 million pieces of information every second, but the conscious mind can only handle about 50 of them. Now imagine being one of the rare few who can perceive what others miss, connect dots before they even appear, and see through people as if their souls were glass. That's the burden of the chosen ones. You carry the wisdom of King Solomon, and it terrifies people. It's not just intelligence. It's not even intuition. It's as if life whispered secrets into your ear that no one else was supposed to hear. And now, people look at you sideways, wondering, how do you know this stuff? Why do you always seem 10 steps ahead? And most importantly, why does your very existence make them uneasy? But don't worry, this isn't a conspiracy theory. This is reality. And by the end of this, you'll understand exactly why your mind works differently, why people react to you the way they do, and why, whether you like it or not, you were never meant to fit in, only to stand above. Number 1, the burden of knowing, the curse of premature wisdom. The chosen ones don't become wise by accident. Their intelligence isn't the result of books, schools, or mentors. It comes from something far more brutal, life itself. They weren't given the luxury of ignorance. While others had the comfort of learning things when they were ready, chosen ones were thrown into the fire early. They had to understand things before they were supposed to. This is why their wisdom seems unnatural. Most people gain insight gradually, piece by piece, over the years. Chosen ones, however, experience a kind of forced acceleration. They're pushed into situations where they either figure it out fast or suffer the consequences. Their minds become sharp, not because they want to be intelligent, but because they have to be. This is where the disconnect happens. To everyone else, wisdom is a slow journey, but to the chosen ones, it's a sudden, violent awakening. They don't get to ease into understanding. They're dropped into the deep end without warning. And when they emerge, people look at them strangely. How do they know so much? How do they understand things that take others decades to grasp? But here's the brutal part. This kind of intelligence comes with a cost. Because they learned so much so early, they struggle to relate to people their age. Conversations feel shallow. Social norms seem ridiculous. They see through people too easily, which makes relationships complicated. They end up feeling like outsiders, not because they want to be, but because their minds operate on a different level. What people don't realize is that this wisdom wasn't gifted, it was forced. It came through pain, loneliness, and trials that no one else saw. And when people admire their intelligence, they don't understand the price that was paid for it. The chosen ones aren't just smart. They're survivors of a reality most people will never comprehend. Number 2, the memory of the ancients. You're remembering, not learning. For most people, knowledge is something they acquire. They learn through experience, books, teachers, and trial and error. But for the chosen ones, wisdom doesn't feel like something new. It feels like something they're remembering. It's as if their minds are pulling information from a source that isn't visible to the rest of the world. They don't just learn, they already know. This is what confuses people the most. Chosen ones can grasp complex ideas without being taught. They can predict outcomes, sense people's true intentions, and understand things that others struggle with for years. And it's not because they've studied harder or had better mentors. It's because their mind is wired to retrieve knowledge that others don't even know exists. This is why they often feel out of place. While others are busy trying to figure out life, the chosen ones already see the patterns. They recognize cycles that have repeated for centuries. They understand human nature at a level that most people never reach. And because of this, they rarely find anyone who truly gets them. People ask, how do you know that? They assume it must be luck or coincidence, but it's not. It's something deeper, something ancient. It's like their soul has lived through this before, like they've walked these roads in another time, another form. They don't need proof to know the truth, they feel it. But this kind of knowing can be isolating. It makes them see life differently. It makes them question things others accept blindly. And it makes them stand out in a way that others can't quite explain. They don't just seem smart, they seem otherworldly, as if they carry secrets the world isn't ready for. That's the real reason why people are drawn to them, yet intimidated by them at the same time. It's not just intelligence. It's a knowing that runs deeper than logic itself. Number 3, unnatural pattern recognition, seeing what others ignore. The chosen ones don't just see life the way everyone else does. They see the underlying patterns, the invisible threads that connect people, events, and outcomes. While most people only notice things when they become obvious, the chosen ones pick up on the details long before anyone else. They can sense when something is off, even if everything appears normal. They recognize unspoken tensions in a room, hidden motives behind a smile, and the real meaning behind people's words. This is why their intelligence seems almost unnatural. While others need direct proof, the chosen ones understand things before they unfold. It's not just intuition, it's an advanced level of pattern recognition. They notice the way history repeats itself. They see the small shifts in behavior that predict betrayal. They understand how energy changes before a major life event. And because they see things before others do, they often feel like they're living in a different reality. This ability isn't always a blessing. It can be frustrating because it makes them question why no one else notices what's so obvious to them. It can be exhausting because they can't turn it off. While others go through life blissfully unaware, the chosen ones are constantly aware of too much. They see people lying when others believe them. They recognize cycles of manipulation before anyone else suspects a thing. They know when something is going to fall apart before it even starts cracking. This also makes them hard to fool. They see through manipulation in an instant. They can tell when someone is pretending, when someone's words don't match their energy, or when a situation isn't what it seems. This makes them both valuable and intimidating. People want their insights, but they also fear being exposed. That's why many either admire them or avoid them altogether. This is why people wonder how the chosen ones are so smart. It's not just intelligence, it's the ability to see what's hidden. They don't wait for the truth to reveal itself. They recognize it long before the rest of the world catches up. Number 4, the loneliness of over-understanding. The loneliness that comes with deep wisdom isn't just about feeling different. It's about seeing the world in a way that most people refuse to. The chosen ones don't just understand things, they understand too much. They see past the surface, past the distractions, past the comforting lies that people cling to. And because of this, they often feel like they're speaking a language no one else understands. Most people don't want to know the whole truth. They want the version that's easy to digest, the one that lets them sleep at night. They don't want to acknowledge their own self-deception, the manipulation in society, or the way history keeps repeating itself because people never learn. But the chosen ones don't get to live in that kind of blissful ignorance. Their minds are wired to recognize patterns, to see the contradictions, to pick up on the things others ignore. This creates a quiet kind of isolation. It's not the loneliness of being physically alone. It's the loneliness of knowing too much in a world that prefers not to know. Conversations feel shallow because small talk doesn't interest them. Friendships feel unbalanced because they're always the ones understanding while rarely being understood. Relationships become difficult because they can see their partner's inner conflicts before they even admit them. People admire their wisdom, but they don't share it. They seek them out for advice, for guidance, for clarity, yet they rarely offer the same depth in return. And after a while, the chosen ones stop expecting it. They learn to keep their insights to themselves, to speak only when necessary, to hold back the full weight of what they know. Not because they don't want to share it, but because they've learned that most people aren't ready for it. The deeper their wisdom, the more distant they become, not because they choose to be, but because there are so few minds that can meet them at their level. And that is a loneliness unlike any other. Number 5, the divine irony. You're the teacher, but no one believes you. The world has a strange way of rejecting truth when it comes from an unexpected source. People have been conditioned to believe that wisdom must look a certain way. An old sage with years of experience, a professor with multiple degrees, or a spiritual guru who has spent decades in isolation. But when wisdom comes from someone who looks just like them, someone without the expected credentials, someone who isn't sitting on a high pedestal, they refuse to take it seriously. This is the frustrating irony of the chosen ones. They carry insights that could change lives, save people from mistakes, or shift perspectives in ways that others desperately need. But instead of listening, people hesitate, they second-guess, they resist. Not because the wisdom is flawed, but because it doesn't fit their expectations. If the same truth were spoken by a so-called expert, they would accept it without question. But coming from the chosen ones, it feels too close, too familiar. And for some reason, people have a hard time accepting brilliance from those they see as their equal. Even more frustrating, these same people often come back later after experiencing the exact lesson they ignored. They suddenly realize the chosen one was right all along. But by then the damage has already been done. The warnings went unheeded, the wisdom was wasted, and the cycle continues. This is why the chosen ones often find themselves in a strange position, knowing exactly what people need to hear, but having to watch as those same people reject it. It's like holding the answers to a test while watching everyone around you fail, simply because they refuse to believe you have the key. Eventually, the chosen ones learn to be selective. They stop wasting words on those who won't listen. They wait for the rare few who are ready for the truth. And when they find them, that's when their wisdom finally serves its purpose. Until then, they endure the divine irony of being a teacher no one believes, until it's too late. Number 6, time traveler's mindset, thinking decades ahead. The chosen ones don't just think differently, they think ahead. Their minds operate on a timeline that doesn't match the present moment. While others are focused on what's right in front of them, the chosen ones are already calculating what's next. They can see trends before they form, understand consequences before they happen, and predict outcomes while everyone else is still figuring out the basics. This makes life frustrating. They try to warn people about things that seem obvious to them, but no one listens. They present ideas that could transform industries, relationships, or mindsets, but people dismiss them as unrealistic or too radical. Then years later, those same ideas become mainstream. And the very people who mocked them now act like they've made a groundbreaking discovery. The chosen ones don't get credit, they don't get recognition. They just watch as the world finally catches up to what they already knew. This disconnect creates a constant sense of isolation. They live in a world that moves too slowly for them. Conversations feel repetitive because they've already thought through these topics years ago. People seem stubborn because they refuse to see what's coming, even when the signs are clear. The chosen ones don't just think outside the box, they left the box behind a long time ago. But society is still stuck trying to figure out if the box even exists. Over time, they learn to keep their insights to themselves. They understand that most people can only grasp what they're ready for, and forcing knowledge onto them doesn't work. So they watch, they wait, and they let time prove them right. Not because they need validation, but because they've accepted that true visionaries are rarely appreciated in their own time. It's a strange existence, knowing the future before it happens, yet having to live through the slow process of everyone else catching up. But that's the price of being ahead of your time, and the chosen ones have been paying it their entire lives. Number 7, the heavy crown. Intelligence feels like a weight, not a gift. Wisdom isn't just knowledge, it's burden. People romanticize intelligence as if it's some kind of superpower, but the reality is far less glamorous. The chosen ones don't just think more deeply, they feel more deeply. They see beyond the surface, past the illusions, into the raw, uncomfortable truth of the world, and that truth is heavy. Most people have the privilege of ignorance. They can ignore their own flaws, believe in comforting lies, and avoid the darker aspects of human nature, but the chosen ones don't get that option. They see manipulation when it's happening, even when others fall for it. They recognize cycles of destruction long before they play out. They feel the energy shift in a room, the unspoken sadness in someone's voice, the weight behind words that others dismiss as casual. This constant awareness is exhausting. It makes relationships difficult because they can see through dishonesty, even when it's subtle. It makes social settings draining because they pick up on everything, the insecurities, the hidden motives, the quiet suffering behind fake smiles. They're not just absorbing information, they're absorbing people. And the more they see, the lonelier it feels because very few understand what it's like to carry that much emotional and intellectual weight. And here's the cruel part. Because they're so perceptive, people assume they can handle anything. They become the go-to problem solver, the emotional anchor, the one who always just knows what to do. But who carries them? Who understands their struggles? Who gives them the same depth of care they give to others? More often than not, no one. This is why intelligence, true, deep, all-encompassing intelligence, feels more like a burden than a gift. It isolates. It overwhelms. It forces the chosen ones to navigate a world that isn't built for people who see everything, and yet no matter how heavy the crown gets, they don't take it off, because they can't. Number 8, the unfair test. The smarter you are, the more challenges you face. Life doesn't play fair with the chosen ones. While others get to learn through gradual experience, the chosen ones are thrown straight into the deep end. It's as if the universe recognizes their potential and decides to speed up the process, forcing them to face challenges that most people wouldn't encounter until much later in life, if at all. From a young age, they deal with problems that seem far beyond their years. They experience betrayal before they even understand trust. They learn about loss before they've had a chance to fully enjoy innocence. They face hardships that others wouldn't survive, not because they deserve to suffer, but because wisdom isn't given, it's earned. And the only way to truly know something is to live it. This is why their intelligence comes across as unnatural. People wonder, how do you know so much? Why do you seem older than your age? What they don't realize is that behind every deep insight, there's a painful experience that forced that wisdom into existence. The chosen ones didn't wake up one day with an advanced understanding of life. They were pushed into situations where they had no choice but to understand. This is also why they struggle to relate to others. While their peers are worried about trivial things, they're dealing with existential questions, emotional wounds, and responsibilities that shouldn't even be theirs. And yet, despite the weight of it all, they keep going. Because once life starts testing you at that level, there's no going back to ignorance. People think intelligence makes life easier. The truth is, it often makes life harder. The smarter you are, the more you see. The more you see, the more you question. And the more you question, the more isolated you become. But the universe doesn't test the weak, it tests the strong. And the chosen ones, they were never meant to live an ordinary life. Number 9, mastering the unspoken. Words aren't needed, energy tells everything. A chosen one doesn't rely on words to understand people. Words are just noise, easily twisted, carefully crafted, and often used to disguise the truth. But energy, that never lies. Before someone even opens their mouth, their energy has already spoken volumes. Their body language, the subtle shifts in their tone, the way their presence feels, it all reveals more than their words ever could. This ability makes the chosen ones nearly impossible to deceive. They don't need proof to sense when something is off. They don't need an admission to know someone is lying. They pick up on micro-expressions, on hesitations, on the gaps between what's being said and what's actually felt. They register the tension in a handshake, the avoidance in eye contact, the artificial excitement in someone's voice. To others, it might seem like an unexplained instinct, but to them, it's second nature. This gift both intrigues and unsettles people. Some are drawn to it, fascinated by how the chosen one always seems to just know. Others feel exposed, uncomfortable with the idea that their masks don't work. Manipulators especially hate this ability because their usual tactics fall flat. They can spin their stories, play their games, but the chosen one sees right through it. They don't just hear words, they absorb intentions. And when someone's energy doesn't match what they're saying, the chosen one immediately knows which one to trust. But this heightened awareness comes at a cost. There's no off switch. They walk into a room and instantly feel everything: who's anxious, who's pretending, who's hiding pain behind laughter. They can't engage in surface-level interactions without being aware of the deeper emotional currents underneath. And sometimes they have to pretend not to notice, because calling out every lie, every inconsistency, every hidden truth would be exhausting. This is why chosen ones move differently. They're careful about who they allow close because they sense people's true nature before most even suspect it. And once they've read someone's energy, they never forget it. No matter what words follow, the truth has already been revealed. Number 10, the instinct to guide, even when you don't want to. The chosen ones don't ask to be leaders, yet they always end up guiding others. It's not about power, status, or seeking attention. If anything, they often avoid the spotlight. But no matter where they go, people sense something in them. A clarity, a depth, an ability to see what others cannot. And because of this, they are constantly pulled into the role of a mentor, even when they don't want to be. It starts early. Friends confide in them about problems they wouldn't tell anyone else. Strangers open up to them without knowing why. Even those who are older, more experienced, or in positions of authority somehow turn to them for advice. It's not about age, it's about presence, the way a chosen one carries an unspoken understanding that others instinctively trust. But this role isn't always welcomed. The chosen ones don't try to be teachers. They don't want to be the person everyone relies on. They see the weight that comes with it, the responsibility of carrying others' burdens, the exhaustion of always being the one with the answers. And yet, no matter how much they try to step back, life keeps pulling them forward. People don't just seek them out for casual guidance. They come with their deepest struggles, their hardest questions, their moments of crisis. And often, the chosen ones do have the answers. Not because they've read it in books, but because they understand life at a level most don't. Their wisdom doesn't come from theory, it comes from knowing. And when people are lost, they gravitate toward that knowing like a compass pointing north. This is why chosen ones often feel like they're walking a path they never asked for. They don't seek leadership, yet people follow them. They don't volunteer to be the voice of reason, yet people listen. And at some point, they stop resisting it. Because no matter how much they try to step away, the truth remains. Some are simply born to guide others, whether they want to or not. Number 11, seeing through the game of life, knowing when it's rigged. The chosen ones don't just live life, they see through it. While most people are busy chasing what they've been told matters, status, wealth, approval, the chosen ones recognize the entire system for what it is, a carefully crafted illusion. They see the unspoken rules that keep people trapped, the invisible forces that shape decisions, and the way society conditions people to chase things that ultimately don't fulfill them. This is why they're difficult to manipulate. They don't fall for the usual tactics, fear, guilt, social pressure, because they understand who benefits from those mechanisms. They see how the game is rigged to keep people in cycles of stress, competition, and self-doubt. They know that the traditional definitions of success, climbing the corporate ladder, accumulating wealth, gaining social approval, are often distractions from something deeper. And because they're aware of this, they refuse to play by rules designed to keep them small. This makes them dangerous in the eyes of those who profit from control, institutions, corporations, even individuals who rely on deception. They all struggle to deal with someone who sees through them. The chosen ones are immune to false narratives because they question everything. Why does society push certain lifestyles? Who benefits when people stay fearful? What happens when someone stops chasing external validation and starts thinking for themselves? These are the questions that make the system uncomfortable. But knowing the game is rigged doesn't mean they disengage completely. Instead, they learn to move differently. They rewrite the rules. They create their own paths. They build lives based on freedom rather than expectation. And because of this, they become outliers. People who don't fit neatly into society's boxes, yet somehow thrive in ways others can't understand. While most people are playing checkers, the chosen ones are playing chess. And the real secret? They're not just winning the game, they're playing an entirely different one. Number 12. The paradox of being misunderstood and admired simultaneously. The chosen ones exist in a strange contradiction. They are both admired and misunderstood at the same time. People are drawn to them, fascinated by their intelligence, captivated by their insights. Yet at the same time, they feel uneasy in their presence. There's something about the way a chosen one thinks, the way they see through things, that makes people uncomfortable. It's not that the chosen ones try to unsettle others. It's simply the nature of their wisdom. They don't entertain illusions. They don't sugarcoat reality. And most of all, they don't allow people to stay blind to truths they would rather ignore. When a chosen one speaks, they cut through the noise, bypass the excuses, and get straight to the heart of things. And while people admire that clarity, they also resist it because it forces them to see themselves in ways they may not be ready for. This is why so many chosen ones experience being both praised and pushed away. They are sought after for advice, yet kept at a distance when that advice becomes too real. They are respected for their intelligence, yet avoided when that intelligence reveals things people aren't ready to face. They inspire people, yet also make them uneasy, because deep wisdom demands growth, and not everyone is willing to grow. This paradox creates an emotional struggle. The chosen ones don't want to make people uncomfortable, yet they can't stop seeing what they see. They don't want to be placed on a pedestal, yet their insights set them apart. They don't ask to be admired, yet their presence naturally commands attention. And in the end, they realize that true wisdom often isolates before it connects, because only a rare few will truly understand them, even as many look up to them. To be a chosen one is to exist in this contradiction, to be seen, yet not fully known, to be respected, yet kept at arm's length, to be both a guide and a mirror, showing people the truth, even when they aren't ready to face it. Number 13, the unbreakable spirit. Betrayal, isolation, and still you rise. The chosen ones walk a path few can understand, a path marked by betrayal, isolation, and relentless tests of endurance. They don't just experience hardship, they experience it at the hands of others. The very people they've helped, the ones they've trusted, the ones who once admired them, these are often the ones who turn against them. Why? Because wisdom is a double-edged sword. It illuminates truth, but truth is rarely comfortable. When people stand in the presence of a chosen one, they feel exposed. Not because the chosen one judges them, but because their mere existence serves as a mirror, reflecting back the insecurities, the self-deceptions, the things people try to bury. And for many, that level of exposure breeds resentment. Instead of learning from the chosen one, they lash out. Instead of seeking growth, they seek to destroy. Betrayal follows the chosen ones because their energy is too powerful for small-minded people. Friends they trusted suddenly become envious. People who once admired them begin to sabotage them. Even family members struggle to accept their depth, dismissing them as too much or too different. It's not that the chosen ones are doing anything wrong. It's that they exist in a frequency most people aren't prepared to handle. And when people can't handle something, they either run from it or try to break it. But here's what makes a chosen one different. They don't stay broken. No matter how many times they are betrayed, abandoned, or underestimated, they rise. Their spirit is unshaken, not because they don't feel pain, but because they transform pain. Every act of betrayal only makes them wiser. Every attempt to bring them down only sharpens their strength. The world will try to break a chosen one precisely because they are unbreakable, and this is what truly sets them apart, not just their wisdom, but their resilience. No matter what happens, they stand. No matter who turns against them, they endure, and no matter how many times they are knocked down, they rise again, stronger, sharper, and more unstoppable than before. Number 14. The silent understanding. You see the truth, but choose when to speak it. A chosen one doesn't feel the need to prove their intelligence. They don't go around forcing truth onto others, lecturing or trying to convince people of what they see. Why? Because they understand something most people don't. Wisdom is useless to those who aren't ready for it. Many people think they want the truth, but what they really want is comfort. They want validation, not revelation. They want to hear what supports their existing beliefs, not what shatters them. A chosen one recognizes this early on. They've seen what happens when they share too much with the wrong people, resistance, denial, even hostility. They've learned that wisdom isn't just about knowing the truth. It's about timing, knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. This is why chosen ones spend more time observing than talking. They study patterns. They analyze people's actions, not just their words. They pay attention to what isn't being said. And when they finally choose to speak, it's never wasted breath. Their words land with weight, cutting through illusion like a blade. But if they sense that someone isn't ready to hear it, they hold back. Because forcing someone to see what they aren't ready for only leads to resistance. This patience is what separates true wisdom from arrogance. A fool blurts out everything they know, desperate to prove themselves. A chosen one waits. They understand that some lessons can't be taught, they must be experienced. Sometimes the most powerful thing they can do is let someone learn the hard way, even if they already see the outcome. People mistake this silence for passivity, but in reality it's the highest form of intelligence. It's not about withholding knowledge, it's about respecting the process of growth. The chosen ones know that truth is like a seed. If planted too early, it won't take root, so they wait. And when the moment is right, when the soil is ready, they speak, and their words change lives. The path of a chosen one is not for the faint of heart. It is a life marked by deep understanding, relentless challenges, and a wisdom that often isolates before it connects. You see what others miss. You feel what others suppress. You move through life with an awareness that sets you apart, not just intellectually, but spiritually, emotionally, and even energetically. People admire you, yet they don't fully understand you. They seek your guidance, yet sometimes resent the truths you reveal. You face betrayals, tests, and moments of loneliness, not because you are cursed, but because you are different. And difference, especially in a world built on illusion, is both feared and respected. But here's what truly makes you a chosen one. You don't break. You don't shrink yourself to fit in. You don't silence your wisdom just to be accepted. You walk your path, whether others approve of it or not. And despite the challenges, the betrayals, the misunderstandings, you rise again and again, stronger, wiser, more untouchable than before. You were never meant to live an ordinary life. Your mind, your spirit, your resilience, it all points to something greater. So let the world misunderstand you. Let them question you. Let them underestimate you. Because while they play their games, follow the rules, and live by illusions, you see beyond it all. And in the end, that's what truly sets you apart. The chosen ones don't chase validation. They become the proof. And whether the world is ready for it or not, you are here to change things. That is your destiny. And nothing can stop it. If this message resonated with you, if you felt that deep aha moment, then you already know you're not here by accident. You're part of something bigger. So don't just take this wisdom and leave. Join the journey. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and make sure you never miss the truth that others are afraid to speak. If this spoke to you like the video, comment below with your thoughts and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Let's build a community of minds that see beyond the illusion. This isn't just a channel, it's a movement. And trust me, you want to be part of it. See you in the next one.